Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. What if I told you the only thing standing between you and your next big opportunity is your voice? This isn't just another program. Empower Your Message is your ticket to becoming the podcast guest everyone wants. You'll learn how to craft a pitch that gets a hell yes, show up with unshakable confidence, and drop truth bombs that leave hosts and audiences wanting more. No more playing small. No more waiting for permission. It's your time to be heard. Loud, clear, and unforgettable. Visit the link in the show notes to sign up, and let's make your voice impossible to ignore. The mic is waiting. Are you ready? Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Diana Kim. She is an energy healer, a spiritual mentor, a transformational guide dedicated to helping conscious souls break free from limitations and live in alignment with their highest selves. Welcome, Diana. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I am so excited, over the moon excited, and happy to have you here today. I cannot wait to dive in and share all the things, Diana, your story, your journey, and of course, the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do. So with that being said, let us jump right in. What was the catalyst moment or experience that first cracked you open to your spiritual path? And how did you know that this work was your soul's calling?
That's a really great question. That's really neat. So my catalyst moment really was maybe about 2 years after my spiritual awakening, if you will. I was in a different place, a very dark place. I think a lot of people that are in this world, right? We all go through these experiences, and something deep down inside of me just kept saying, you have to show up, you have to help people. And even though like you yourself need help, but you also have to put yourself to the side and put others, not people pleasing, but, put others and go outside of your comfort zone and show up and to help. So help others. And so my first experience that cracked me open to seeing this was my first experience with an energy healer, to be honest. That was my first glimpse into seeing this work. When I'd done the traditional things of going to therapy, my physician had put me on medication, a lot of medication that didn't even make me feel like, honestly, it was like a blur back when I was taking that medication. And I knew that's not the life that I was meant to live. And I knew it was supposed to be different. And so it was through my first experience, through an online session with an energy healer. That's what showed me what was possible. And that's what cracked me open. And I was like, in that instant, when I had that session, I was very lost and very confused on where I was meant to go. But in that session, bam, like down in my body, down in my cells, it was like, that's where I'm supposed to go. I just knew it. It was like, go.
Wow.
And then like that same year, I took massive action and took a course with that same energy healer, in learning how to do energy healing and my other work that I do as well, help people with their emotions that are stuck in their body. And I knew this was my soul's calling, and I'm doing it. I'm living it now and celebrating that. I'm living it now, and I absolutely love what I do.
And that's the key, right? Is loving what you do. And when we do that, when we step into that and embody that, everyone around us can feel it. It's a beautiful shift in energy, but you have to do the work to get there, which is the key part, is doing the work.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, oh my gosh, I could go on and on about this. It's really all about the energy of it, the energy, baby, because you can feel it, even like through just even right now on this podcast, like you could feel the energy in our words, right? And just this whole platform and just being here. And I think it's really important that we start to tune into the energy of things and start to pay attention to that and start to like discern, is this an energy that I want to continue with? Do I want to continue on this path, or do I want to stay in this energy? Or do I want a different type of energy? Because there's different levels of energy.
Yeah. So with that moment where you're in that healing, do you think it was the messenger or the message? Because sometimes we get messages from people and it doesn't resonate or it doesn't hit or it doesn't land, but then you get that same message from someone completely different, and for some reason it just clicks and it lands.
Yeah, because when you first hear it, maybe it didn't resonate, right?
Mhm.
But the fact that you heard it again or the third time, and that's when it lands, or
Yeah.
even that's like the universe is like, hey, wake up, pay attention. You heard this
Yeah.
again. So I
Yeah.
think it's part of that thing, but also like understanding that we're continuously evolving, right? If you're very much, I know if you're in Brad's world, you're very much into the woo, you're into personal development. You love to just be the best version of yourself. And it really is about understanding that maybe the first time I didn't feel it, I didn't hear it, but maybe the second or the third time, that energy was entirely different. And that's the point for you to decide if you're going to take action, right? To do something with that download, that message.
Yeah. So for that particular session, do you think it was the messenger and the
Oh,
message,
yeah.
or yeah?
I
Okay.
think it really was the messenger, in my
Mhm.
opinion. It was because when I first started with her back in early 2021, I knew at that point that something had to change. But it
Right.
really started with me first. And she was the beautiful messenger for me to facilitate that change.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Diana. So when did you first realize then that the life you were living wasn't aligned with your soul's purpose? And what did it take for you to be able to walk away from that?
Oh my gosh, that's a really great question. And a lot of this has to stem with my awakening. So when I first started to realize when I wasn't fully aligned with my purpose, first of all, even recognizing that I had a purpose, because the very old version of me, most recently was, I'll go back to 2018, was kind of like my pivotal year, 2018 and 2019. That's when I really realized that I wasn't in alignment, because I was a supervisor for adult protective
Mhm.
services. And that's when I was on all the medications. I was very disconnected. I was also going through a divorce. And that's when I had gone so far from not knowing myself. And I come from an Asian family. So my mother's half Korean. And if y'all know Asians, Asian culture is very much like you have to listen to your family. It's just like
Mhm.
a non negotiable with Asians. You're probably like laughing at me because you know like how true it is. There's no like individuality. There's no go do what you want, go do what makes you happy. No, you're going to do this. You're going to listen to me. It's just
Yeah.
expected of you. And I had lived my life that whole way of following my parents, following my mother and what she expected of me. And that created so much disconnection with myself and not knowing who I really was, not knowing my identity. And to make a very long story short, when I had completely burned myself out, like literally, if I'm using the words like crash and burn,
Yeah.
when I was working at APS, I had literally like crashed and burned because I didn't know myself. I didn't have really good boundaries. I didn't know how to take care of myself. And that's when I realized that this was something I had to change, that I couldn't be this
Mhm.
way. And I decided to walk away from it when I just decided it was like, I can't do this no more. I didn't know, to be honest, I actually left that job not having any backup, like
Yeah.
nothing. I just knew I had to walk away from it. And I decided to wean myself off of the medication. Actually, I take it back, not wean, to fully detox. I should have weaned
Mhm.
off on the medication, and that kind of like sparked my spiritual awakening when I was like literally thought I was going to unalive myself because I was having all the medication being coming out of my system. And that's when I realized that something had to change right after that moment when I was going through the dark nights of the soul. And that's when I said, okay, I can't go back to that system. I can't go back in that way. I now need to go figure out what I'm here to do. I didn't know what it was. It was a very scary time, but I knew that something had to be different. And I knew that I needed to, if I wanted a different life, I had to go and live something entirely different, something that I've never seen.
That is the first of all, the courage to be able to do that, to walk away from something because you're working in this job, that's paying your bills and that's your
Mhm.
comfort. And how the fuck do you step away from that? And then what the fuck? Now what do I do? I'm here.
Mhm.
Okay, I've just quit my job. What the hell am I gonna do?
Yeah,
That's scary as shit.
it is. Oh my God. It was terrifying. Terrifying.
Thank you for sharing that. And hang on a second before we move on. What were the first few steps then that you took in order to move forward with what you had just done?
For me back then, it was really about taking care of myself because I was in
Mm,
such
mhm.
burnout. So and that was a scary thing for me back then to prioritize myself, to prioritize my self care. And I just rested. I was very fortunate when I did leave because I had been working for the state of Texas for over 10 years.
Right.
That I had a lot of overtime, sick, vacation, whatever. And so I did receive a lump sum of that money and I did utilize that to take care of myself, to take time off. So I was very fortunate that I had that. And I knew that was my first step, right? To take care of myself. And while I'm so thankful for this too, because how it all like ties into how I became where I'm at now was when all this was happening, I never heard of anything with manifestation, energy. I knew nothing of this world. I knew nothing about law of attraction. And I had met someone through a mutual friend who had introduced me to law of attraction. I'm so thankful for this person because I had never heard this. And she was kind of like trying to tell me without sounding weird. And I was just like, what do you mean we attract things with our minds and our thoughts? Well, I'm serious. And I literally had to go and explore it for myself. I was curious. I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I started to do my own research, started going down my own rabbit hole. And the first thing I found was how it's all a sham. It doesn't work. But I still kept going. I still was like, I'm going to keep going. And then
Mhm.
that's when I like went down the whole freaking rabbit hole of everything. And now I actually live it. Now I actually do it. And I'm so freaking amazing at it. And I just love it. So I think the other part of this thing is that for me, it's always been this drive. It's always been like this curiosity. That's what it is. It's always been this. It makes no logical sense, Brad, but
Mhm.
there was something always deep inside of me, especially because of how I was raised from my childhood, which we're probably going to get into later. But there was always something inside of me that kept saying, it sounds wild, but it's supposed to be magical. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be good. It's not
Mm.
supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be like this grinding and not enjoying life. I've always felt that, but I always felt guilty to go and explore that.
Yeah, we've been conditioned to believe that in order to succeed, in order to make money, in order to be successful, you have to grind and work your ass off. And that's
Mhm.
not true. Of course, but I think the thing is, when you find something, when you find your purpose, when you find what it is that lights you up, it doesn't feel like you're hustling and you're grinding and you're working your ass off and all of these things. So it's a very different feeling. So I'm curious, can you share for someone out there that's listening, maybe they're at that point where you were in terms of with the burnout and they realize they have the awareness to realize they got to start taking care of themselves. What are a couple of suggestions you would give someone in order to start that process of self-care? A couple of practices they could maybe start with or something?
Oh, I've got lots. I've been on this journey also from the Asian culture, Korean. They don't know the word rest, right? So, number one is boundaries,
Mhm.
recognizing where you are consistently overgiving. And honestly, a lot of us women, to be honest, us women are taught to be the givers, to go, right? And through our society, especially here in the US, I'm here in San Antonio, Texas, and to go, right? And it's like an honor, it's a badge of honor to be tired, right? So I really encourage you, number one, to first recognize just having the awareness that, hey, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. And recognizing too, this is another thing I want to share. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're listening to this episode, you probably are like first generation. You're probably like the first generation in your family to do something entirely different. You are most likely the first person in your family that says, hey, I don't want to do this no more. I'm not going to continue on unconsciously doing what everyone says. And so I want you to acknowledge that and see that and saying, hey, actually, okay, it's going to be a little different, scary. And for you to say it gets to be different. And that cycle, I want you to see it also as almost like in this day and age, it's like almost like a toxic cycle. And
Mhm.
that you're gonna do something entirely different. And you have to love yourself. So it comes with first awareness. Number two is self love, because the only way you're going to change is that you have to love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you're not going to take the effort, you're not going to make the changes. But working on your self love, you have unworthiness wounds. I had those for a long time, working through those. And number four, in recognizing that you get to take care of yourself. It gets to be fun. It gets to be good. Like you, just you listening to this, knowing that you get to live a really good life where you're nourished, you're happy, you're rested, and you do what you love. And the more and more you focus on that, oh my gosh, that's when the energy gets amplified and that expands and it grows and it begins to attract more things. So to answer your question, I went on a
No, that's okay. I love it. Those are all valuable, very important tips. Thank you for sharing those. So, what drives, motivates, and inspires you, Diana, to keep going and excelling at all that you do?
oh man. First of all, it's knowing that the life that I used to live, I'm never going back there. I
Yes, I love that.
yes,
I'm declaring that right now.
yes. I tell people that I was in literal hell. That's how, and it's like levels of energy, levels of consciousness, but I was in hell. And I basically had to claw my way out. Like everything that I do now is entirely different from how I was raised, from my family. And it was like, and thinking about that too, a lot of people are also there, right? And it was
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be here no more. I can't. If I stay there, then I'm going to be unalived, right? And I have to do
Mhm.
something entirely different. So that's number one, my drive. But now that I'm here, now that I continue to work on myself and I continue to grow and expand, as I continue to do this, it actually inspires me to go even more because it's wow, I didn't realize I was going to come this far. And a lot of people that have known me for a long time as well, they're surprised. Like the old version of me, they're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like what happened to you? And yeah, because
Who is this woman?
yes, you take honestly too is ultimately because you take personal responsibility for your life.
Yeah.
You take in your hands and you get to decide where it's going to go. And so that's really what keeps inspiring me. And then, of course, the impact that I'm having right now, the people that I am serving. Oh my gosh, it is such a blessing right now to see everything in what I do with clients. Also, I'm going to throw this in there too. I'm a human design manifester. And so, manifestors, man, like when you get in with a session with us, or when you're just talking with us, like you can feel, you can be either repelled or attracted to us, but we just go so freaking deep, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And for me, it really just makes it all worth it and inspires me to keep going because of the work that I'm doing now with my clients. The women
Yeah.
that I'm impacting, they're making changes. And when they make changes, when they begin to empower themselves and change their lives, they're going to show others what's possible or they're going to help others. And this is how we create the ripple effect. And this is
Exactly.
why I keep
I
going.
love that because you mentioned to see how far you've come. And then it's okay, I've come this far. I want to see how much further can I go? What else can I do? How much more magic can I create? How many more ripples can I put out into the world? How many more people can I help? How many more people can I support? And just to see that and to know what's possible. I mean, it that is true inspiration for sure. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, in your own words, what does it mean to live in full alignment with your highest self?
To live in full alignment with my highest self, I really feel like it's about tuning into you and to your wants, needs, desires, and not looking outside of you. Because I truly believe that it's going to look different for everyone and being okay that it's going to be different from everyone. I think that's the other thing too, is that a lot of people are like, when it's not like them, it's automatically it's wrong. If it's
Yeah.
not like me, if it's not this way, it's not good or whatever. It's wrong. And I'm like, no, it's let it be. So it's for me to live in full alignment with myself. It's really about doing what's always best for me and knowing that on this journey, we're going to keep growing and evolving, and that's going to change as well. And all really just honestly, all my clients is too, just being a selfish bee. I don't know what I can curse on here,
You
but
can swear. You can swear,
I
yes.
just being a selfish bitch, honestly, and being okay with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you prioritizing yourself and, doing what makes you happy. And at 1 month, it can entirely change and being okay that it changed and it might hurt someone else's feelings because you're not
Uh-huh.
responsible for other people and their feelings. They're responsible to manage themselves and their expectations and their feelings. So for me, it's just if you want to go salsa dancing, like to live in full alignment, then go salsa dancing, even if it may trigger others or even if it's not quote unquote within a box. That's another thing too. I feel like I don't want to live in a box. I've
Yeah.
lived that, right? And I don't want to do that no more. I want to, you go do what makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting
I'm
anyone.
I'm done with that. I've broken out of the box. I'm over here now. fuck the box. It's time to break out. And that's it. It's when you're doing what you love, whether it's hobbies you're talking about or your business or whatever it is, when it lights you up, that's what it is. It's having that feeling of, fuck yes, I'm excited to be doing this. Whatever it is, it feels good. If it's where you're, I don't know, or I don't think I should, if it's not a hell yes, forget it. Just leave it behind and move on.
Yeah, exactly. If it's not a hell yes, then move on. Yep, that's exactly
Yeah.
right.
When you get that full body yes. And if you're not getting that, forget it. Leave it
Yeah,
behind.
for sure.
Before you became a guide for others, who or what guided you through the dark? And how did you learn to trust your own intuition or inner compass over, of course, the outside noise? Because that's always there. The people are always going to be chirping in your ear and having opinions. So, how did you deal with all that?
In the very beginning of my journey, I will say there was a lot of darkness. There was a lot of valley, so much disconnection within myself. So, what really helped me, number one, in my very beginning of my journey was books. I read a lot of different books on different subjects and materials, especially around like law of attraction. YouTube videos were a really big thing. And then eventually I got really uncomfortable, did the scary thing, and I invested in myself. That was a really big catalyst of my growth. And I just want to share something too, especially as women. I know it's like a thing. I used to be so scared to invest in myself, terrified, and couldn't even invest $100 in myself. But I'll happily give someone else, if they need money, I'll give them $1,000, right?
Yeah.
That was the old version of me. Now I don't do that. But now it's knowing that, oh my gosh, you are like the best investment you could ever make. You are literally the best investment that you could ever make. And in my journey and learning, this is what's guided me is that when I work with mentors, right? And I've worked with a lot of different mentors and coaches and healers, is that helps you to number one, feel supported and validated. There's nothing wrong with you. So there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with us, right? We're not broken.
Yep. Yep.
But number two is they give you the shortcuts, right? They really, if they've been there, they know how to help you to guide you out of it. And that allows you to move through it so much faster. I just want to share this because if you're trying to figure it out on your own, you're going to spend so much more time trying to figure it out versus you going to work with someone and boom, I'm telling you, in 1 year for me, I quantum leaped really. 2021 was my big quantum leap year. And I quantum leap because I did the scary thing, got really uncomfortable, and I invested in myself. And that showed me what I was capable of, right? And showed me, okay. And then through this journey, it was also building my self trust. So this is how I was able to trust like my inner compass. And it's a muscle. Like you have to
Right.
build it, right? So building self trust is listening to yourself over and over, especially when those around you, or especially whatever you're seeing on social media or the news, even if it says like one thing, but you know that you're meant to do something different, you build this, right? You learn to trust yourself when you continue to listen to that inner voice that tells you to do something, right? It tells you or guides you on something. This is how you do it. And it's over and over. And sometimes it makes no logical sense, but that's why we're here, right? This is another reason why a lot of people feel like this is demonic and this is witchcraft. It's yeah, of course they want that. They want to tell you that because they don't want you to be so connected within yourself, right?
That's a big part of it is because we've been, again, it's been, we all have that intuition within us. It's all there. Every single person has that inner guidance. And it is
Yeah.
about trusting, but it has been stamped so far down in so many of us that we forget it's there. So it's more like a remembering that it's there and doing the work to remember that it's there because it is, but it's hard. It's hard to get there. It's hard to trust ourselves.
Oh yeah, and I'm telling you, I am someone that can speak to this. Like when you said like it's to remember, like I will share like in my experience, like I didn't know, I guess like spiritually like a remembering, but like back then for me, it was a not knowing. Like
Mm,
especially if you lived in environments or you were in spaces where there was so much control, religion through family, whatever, you're not even consciously aware that you're able to make your own decisions. You're not even aware that you're allowed to do that. That makes sense.
Yep.
And so in my journey, like I didn't even know that was like a thing. Like you're just told what to do, what to say, how to think, and that's all. That's it. And you don't know anything about intuition. And so in my journey, it's always, I guess what I can say is it's still like listening to something inside of you, that little tiny voice. Cause that's the other thing too, with our intuition is that if you continue to ignore it over and over, that voice is going to get quieter and quieter because you didn't listen to it. Then eventually you're not going to really be able to hear it. But I guess for me, it's saying, hey, let me be an expander in that sense and saying, it gets to be good. You've been taught otherwise. You've been taught to disconnect from yourself. You've been taught to go against your intuition. You've been taught to live this life of struggle and sacrifice and mediocrity. And I'm here to tell you right now that there's a whole other world. There's a whole other side, but you have to take the first step. You have to decide, okay, I need to do something entirely different. And it's going to upset a lot of people, honestly, especially the ones that are there to manipulate you and control you. They're going to be very upset about it. I'm telling you, I know that from my own experience. But the more and more you get to be a selfish bitch and just decide that I have to keep going. I'm telling you, but not everyone will come here. Not everyone will come to this state because staying in that safety with the other people that are trying to control you.
Yeah.
That's how they think that they're receiving love. We went on a whole thing with that.
It's like they get angry because you're expanding and you're growing and you're not staying stuck where they are.
Yeah.
And some people just aren't meant to come on that journey with us and they're meant to stay stuck there. But it's also when they see us growing or expanding or stepping out of our comfort zone or doing what, trusting our intuition more, it's a lesson for them too. So it's about sharing those lessons and letting them see. Don't let them stop you from stepping out because it pisses them off. And it talks to a little bit about what you said at the beginning, where we're talking about setting boundaries. Set those boundaries for yourself.
Yeah. And I'm just going to add one last thing on this topic of I've also just recognized on my journey as I continue to do this work, as I continue to, just be here for myself, really, it gets smaller and smaller. And that's why I love the online space. But that's another thing too, is that maybe there are some people, maybe in this lifetime, they're not meant to do this, right? To do this inner work, which is perfectly fine because we all have our own karmic lessons, our soul lessons, but knowing that it's not easy. This is honestly like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, but it's very fulfilling because now I feel in my body, in my soul, really, there's an inner peace that's here. And that was never there before. Before I came down this journey, I was very disconnected. I was terrified. I was very much in anxiety and panic and even like bouts of depression. But now it's like my body is, yes, you're supposed to be here. You're on the right track. And that, I think that's the journey is you have to go down your journey to find what that is for you and how that looks.
Yeah. I know you and I have talked multiple times about intuition and trusting our intuition. So I'm curious if you could share maybe a couple of tips for people who want to or are starting to remember that they have their intuition. How can they start to strengthen that trust in their intuition or trust in that inner knowing? What are a couple of small things that they can do to start to build that?
Yeah. Number one, it's like recognizing that it's there, but it's the way and how it speaks to you. The way that I've started to really play with it is paying attention to the inner voice and how it speaks. So your intuition is going to be a very calm voice and it's very loving versus the ego, which is frantic. It's very fear based and it only wants its job is really to keep you safe. And so start to pay attention to the messages that your intuition gives. So is it a calm voice, right? Or is it a voice that's very frantic and that doesn't want you to go outside of your comfort zone? It like starts to go into the fear and start to pay attention to your body and how you feel when you're making decisions. So with your intuition, and what I've learned is that it's a calm, at least for me, right? And also learning about the clairs, right? Learning about and how it communicates to you. So for me, it's claircognizance. It's just a knowing. Like I just know. I don't know how I know, but I just know things and it just lands through my body. And that's how I've been able. So the more I started to pay attention to that, because mind you, all this stuff that I'm talking about, I had no idea this was like a thing. And the more and more you start to tune into this and start paying attention to it, and energy goes what you focus on, or what energy grows and what you focus on, right?
Yeah.
Energy expands. So the more and more you start paying attention to it, it's going to grow and it's going to expand. You're going to start to see more of it, more and more. And trial and error. Maybe that fear came in, you listen to it and see what was the end result, right? Or vice versa. I listened to my intuition. This was the end result. My intuition back a few years ago when I was first starting my journey, I used to be in real estate. And my body was screaming at me, get the fuck out. I'm telling you. But my logical mind was like, no, because according to your mom's eyes, according to your family's eyes, this is a profession that you're supposed to be in. This is quote unquote success. But my mind kept telling me, no, you got to be here, stick it out, try it out, whatever. But my body was screaming at me, like, get out. And I'm so thankful that I did, because I know if I stayed, I think I would have gotten cancer, because that's another thing too. It's because there's a disconnection, right?
Yeah.
And just paying attention to it and making those decisions. And something else I'd like to add on to this as well, work up human design. So that's one thing I love to talk about. Rad knows, because I talked to him about human design. He's a generator.
Yep.
You're a 1-3 sacral generator, right?
5-1.
5-1. Sorry, 5-1.
That's okay.
5-1 sacral generator. Yep. I'm a 2-4 emotional manifester. And that has also been very validating in a sense for me to go and tune into my intuition more in paying attention to it. And so my signature theme, if you will, is peace. And so me going to find my peace and doing what I do now gives me so much peace.
There you go. Your inner peace.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for sharing those tips, Diana. What does the word spirit mean to you? Not the Instagram or social media version, but the raw, real, ancient version.
Ooh, spirit to me is, I see it as like this higher being, God, source. I really feel like there's something there that's not us, but there's something, I guess, out there that is really here for us. This knowing that there is some higher power, if you will. And I truly believe we just have all different names for it. And I actually do use spirit simultaneously, interchangeably with source, God. And to me, it means like there's something here that's, I can't see it. But I can feel it. I guess I could see it like in through different things, but just knowing that it's here and connecting with that and saying, hey, I'm actually here on this planet for a specific reason. And there's something, it gives me so much like this fuzzy feeling and knowing that there is something here. And I see it as like this divine masculine energy that's here to guide and protect me. So I guess that's how I see it, is like, that's what it means. Okay. Spirit means it's source, it's God. And I think even talking with, I say like your spiritual support team, like our ancestors, the spirits on the other side that you can't see, but they're here to help you, to protect you.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. What does it really mean to lead spiritually in a world where the world often values speed and noise and ego over depth and truth?
Oh, let me tell you, that's a great question, because especially in the world of entrepreneurship, especially where it's a male dominated industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things, and I'm fairly new into entrepreneurship. So the things that I do see, it is very much recognizing that's the way I see it is, it's almost like a scarcity based thinking, right? I have to go and I have to dominate and I have to grind and I have to hustle and I have to crush the competition like that, right? And we got to go, we got to hustle, and thinking that's a very traumatized, and I might get some flack for this, but I really don't care, masculine energy. And that's great, but also that's for men. That's another thing too. And me also learning more about energy. You have your divine masculine energy and we have our divine feminine, and we every single person we have both of these, right?
Yeah.
And for me as a woman, leaning more into my feminine energy to help me lead myself, if you will, to lead spiritually, navigating through this. And that is So the concept for me is recognizing that I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go and hustle and grind and burn myself out, because that is, to be honest, it's almost like slavery, if you will, to go and do that. And I'm like, no, I don't want, I'm not doing that. Now, of course, there's still action, but there's another type of action that you take where you know that you're supported and you're guided. And it doesn't have to be about this hustle and grinding, and knowing that, okay, I'm going to connect to myself, connect to God, source, take action, but knowing that and trusting law of assumption that everything is working out for me, that everything comes to me. Why do things always go my way? So I guess for me, that's what it means is, okay, I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to lead myself through this other journey, knowing too that rest, normalizing rest. I'm not saying resting all the time, but I think in the very beginning of your journey, if you've been hustling and grinding and if you've been going for a long time, you might be in burnout. You might be in survival mode. And so your body is going to need some time. Your nervous system is going to need some time to decompress. And to that's actually what I'm doing right now as I continue on my journey and on my path of working through my layers, especially from an Asian family. Like, this is probably like the most rest I've ever had in my entire adult life. Right. And it's, what is this? But knowing that I am always provided for and protected. And that's how I see it as, yeah, I lead an entirely different life. It makes no logical sense, but I really don't care because I don't need to think from my mind. I can lead here from my heart.
That's almost like another shock to the system, because if you've been in that hustle, grind, survival mode, and then all of a sudden you stop, your body's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But it is important. And I know you've been in your rest cycle, and I think it's admirable, and I think it's necessary. And it's so important because you'll end up burning out, and then you're of no use to anybody, least of all yourself.
Yeah. And I think there's layers to all this too. Like, it's recognizing that you're not going to accomplish it all in one day, especially because I really think that part of this journey too is working with mind, body, spirits. Yeah. Because if you were just to stop like completely, yeah, you would go crazy because you're also programmed, right, to go and to hustle and grind. And so, in me and my journey with resting, I decided I was going to start experimenting in 2022. And like looking back from 2022, like that's when I started. It was so hard. And I would catch myself. I'm like, oh, I'm still going. But at least I was trying to create the awareness and starting to see that. I'm just saying it's about just starting to take action, even if it's like micro action, just smaller steps. Okay, maybe I'm not going to go and distract myself this weekend by going and partying or whatever. I'm going to actually be intentional. And I'm going to, or we're not going to go salsa dancing. I'll be honest. 2021 was my year of distracting myself. Also, I was learning how to salsa dance. I loved it. It was such a great escape.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to, in my journey of this, okay, I'm not going to go and escape for this weekend or for this evening. I'm actually going to now prioritize myself, and I'm going to do something different. And it's scary and it's uncomfortable, but I'm at least going to try it. I'm going to start taking those actions, and those actions compound over time. And I'm so thankful that I started this journey in 2022, because now where I'm at 3 years later, entirely different person. I can't even believe that I've come this far with learning about this. And I share this because I want people to know that you don't have to go and be all crazy and exhausting. It's not a badge of honor to be exhausted all the time.
No, it's not. It's horrible to be in that state. You're of no use at all to anybody, least of all, again, yourself. And what good is that?
Yeah.
You have to look after yourself, your body, your health, like you said, mind, body, spirit. That's what it is. Absolutely.
Yes. We need to stop normalizing that. Yeah. Start normalizing.
Yeah, by having these conversations, talking about it. It is okay to rest, and it's necessary to rest. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad. You don't have to always be going. We are human beings, not human doings.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
If you had to distill your purpose into one sentence, one mantra, or maybe one energetic vibration, what would it be?
Ooh, I like that one. So mine is live as if you're living heaven on earth, like living in heaven now. And I'd like to expand on that because
Yeah, sure.
I think a lot of people were taught, and I have a lot of, I'll just say, religious trauma from my childhood. I was taught a lot of things about fear.
Right.
And it was very much, if you don't do this, if you don't do things a certain way, you're going to go to hell. Right. That was the reoccurring message I kept hearing. And so I lived my life so much in fear. And in my journey now of where I've come and what I'm doing now, I see it now. What a beautiful gift it is to be here on this planet. To know, to really, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm speaking right now. So I'm channeling stuff right now. It's like amazing. There's souls out here that want to come here to the 3D, right? But they weren't chosen at that time, but we were chosen. We're chosen to be here to experience this, to have the sense, feel, taste, touch, right? The senses, to really be here and to live this life. And the more and more I go down my journey of this, wow, what a beautiful gift it is to be alive. What a beautiful gift. And you truly, by your decisions, by your actions, by your just deciding, you can start to live as if you're living heaven on earth. And part of that journey is you not listening to the news, not being around lack mindset mentality, scarcity. Because I'm telling you, most people live in that mindset. And I used to live there as well, right? And the more and more, as I was saying, as you continue to do this work, it gets smaller and smaller. And even though right now the news is reporting so many things, like I'm having the complete opposite. I am living my best life right now. I'm living heaven on earth, right? Because I continue to show up and I continue to see what a privilege it is to be here. What an honor it is to be here, to see the sunrise, to see, get the rain, the thunder, right? To be here, even here, to have electricity, to be here on this podcast. And so that's really what I feel like my purpose is, to say, hey, we're here. You're meant to live your best life, right? So if you're meant to live your best life, start taking the action now, right? To live heaven on earth now. And imagine like what you're going to feel, what your energy is going to do when you begin to live that life now. Imagine what's going to happen.
Well, could you imagine if everyone in the world,
Right?
even half the population in the world, did that? What an incredible planet we would be living on. It is, you're right. It's incredible. It is a gift to be here and to be alive at this time, and to have the access to all the things that we have access to, and to know that anything is possible. You can do anything you want in this world. Nothing is not doable.
Yeah.
If you can dream it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You just have to put in the work and make it happen. You have to believe in yourself, which is a big part. That's the first part of the work. The first step in the work is believing in yourself and trusting in yourself that you can do it, because you are capable.
Yeah. Very much
It is
so.
a true gift. It really is. I love that. Thank you, Diana, for sharing that. How do you stay rooted then in your spiritual truth when the world around you, as we were just talking about, is so loud and chaotic and often disconnected? As we know, there's so much shit out there. So how do you stay rooted?
Ooh. So it's moment by moment and recognizing that. So we do live in a world that it's intentionally taught to disconnect you, right? Intentionally taught to make it loud and chaotic and fearful, and start to open your mindset around the things that they say are woo or the things that they say are bad. Start to open your mind on this, right? Start to go and look at it, because when you start looking at the levels of consciousness, levels of energy, right? Recognizing that depending on where you're vibrating at, you're more easily able to be controlled when you're in a different vibration, when you're in a lower vibration, right? And so part of that, number one, is, again, I always say it's always awareness, knowing that it's there. And I feel like people that are listening to you, that are here on this podcast, right? I feel like they already have that knowledge.
Yeah.
And so it's really about, golly, it takes a lot of work, honestly, to cultivate your own inner world, if you will. That's what I do. And so for me to stay rooted in my spiritual truth or in my spiritual path is always a coming back. There's moments, right? But it's always moment by moment and saying, okay, I'm here to live, right, my life, and I'm not going to go with, I think that's the other thing too, is like recognizing that you're not here to go with everybody else. You have
Yeah.
to normalize becoming, I don't like to say the black sheep, but normalize becoming like the unicorn, becoming
Yeah.
like a unicorn and saying, okay, I'm not going to go with the crowd. And you have to be okay with that. And I feel like a lot of people that are on this path, that they just know that they're not like everybody else. They were quote unquote like a little weird, but It's that saying no. And I choose not to that. I choose not to have that. And I don't want the chaos, right? I don't want the loudness. Like starting to see like where are you disconnecting? Where are you seeing yourself where like when you're in that chaos, right? You don't feel like yourself. I think it's about
Yeah.
feeling better when you're, 'cause I know that I was also very much in that chaos and that being loud, right? It's because what I don't want to hear, I don't want to get quiet because I don't want to listen to the messages in here. So you starting to get comfortable with the quiet, with the solitude, comfortable with being alone. Really,
Yes.
that's a powerful. I love being alone now, and I'm sure you do as well, right?
Oh, yeah. I love my alone time. It's amazing because it gives you time to reflect. It gives you time to just sit and be
Yeah,
in silence, in stillness. That's where the magic happens, is in the stillness.
yeah,
And as you and I have talked about many, many a time, the book Happy Pocket Full of Money, about being in the present moment. That's
yeah,
all we have, is that
yeah,
this moment right now. So just be with yourself. It's
yeah.
okay. But a lot of people don't like to sit in stillness. They don't like their own company, all of these different things.
Yes, and I personally believe too, a lot of that not being able to sit with yourself is because there's trauma.
Hmm.
And if you want a different life, you really, honestly, you have to take responsibility and you have to sit with why do I feel this way? What happened to me to make me normalize this, to crave this? And you really, that's why they say for healing as well, like this healing journey, people, they don't want to sit through a temporary pain, right? They're
Yeah.
okay with normalizing it forever, eternity, and living this way versus I'm just going to sit through a temporary moment of discomfort and pain to be on the other side. And I'm saying it's a smaller world, if you will, and it's okay. I've just
Yeah.
learned to accept it.
How do you personally balance the spiritual with the human, the healer, and the woman who is still learning, growing, and unlearning?
Oh, man. So I will be very transparent. I still have a journey of balancing it because I am a Pisces sun. And if you know anything about what's the thing about Pisces, we're in our heads a lot. Like we're in the clouds, if you will. And I tend to be in the clouds a lot. One thing personally that really does balance me is my partner. He is someone that brings me back to reality a lot because I will be like, let's go do all these things and let's, and I get very much, oh my gosh, it's wild. But and also I'm a manifester. So I get like these big crazy ideas and I'm just like, ah.
Hmm.
And so that's one big thing I will share. And so it's also being around and also one of my best friends as well. She is an energy that helps to ground me. And so this is also how I find balance with the spiritual, also living in the 3D.
Yeah.
And it is about, I think we all go in waves, especially like if you're in the spiritual community, if you're into the woo, I think that there's moments and pockets. It's okay. We can be over here so much in the woo and like we can talk and visualize and, but it's hard sometimes to implement that into the physical reality. It's like literally growing and learning. And so for me, it has been a really beautiful journey of saying, okay, maybe I've been here too long. Now I got to come back to the 3D, got to come back to the physical reality and start taking the physical actions here in the 3D. And so with that, as with the physical action for me as well, comparisonitis is a really big
Oh,
thing. Oh my God.
yeah.
Oh, you and I have talked about that
Yeah. Yeah.
and staying. And it's just remembering and just coming back and focusing on entirely of yourself. It's almost like getting like delusional, really. And I'm telling you, and anyone that's in the spiritual world, they know it's like they say like Delulu, right? You got to get freaking Delulu. You just have to be in your own little bubble and knowing that it's going to be ebbs and flows. It's not going to be freaking linear. Because if you knew
No,
exactly how everything was going to go, it would be freaking boring.
it would for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's, yeah, it's a long journey. It's hard. It's not, like you said, it's not linear. There's so many bumps. There's detours, there's bumps in the road, but you got to stick with it and keep going because the reward on the other side is so good.
Yes. And I think that's the journey of learning and growing and unlearning. That is part of the journey. And you have to be okay with that. One other thing I want to add to this too is that you have to be okay with being in the void, being
Yeah.
okay with being in the unknown. A lot of people will not, they will not sit there.
Yeah.
I used to be the same way. I used to have such control issues. Oh my gosh. If it did not go exactly how I planned, like to the T, I would spiral. I would flip out. And part of my journey is balancing this of letting go of my control issues because universe, God, source always wants to give to you, always. But it is us that blocks the receiving because we're so focused. The manifestations can't come in because we're so focused that it has to come in through this one little outlet. But universe is like, no, man, I've got an even better way of how it can come in, but you're over here
There's
blocking it, right? And so
there's multiple ways it could come in.
it's a million, bajillion. But and so part of this journey is for me is letting go of my control issues. And it has been such a journey from where I used to be to where I'm at now and being okay with that. So balancing it and just letting go of when quote unquote bad things happen. And it's okay. So I'm human, right? I can have my human experiences, but I also know that everything always works out for me.
Yeah.
Everything always works out for me, not to me. And so
Yes.
when those bad things happen, I just, okay, I'm in surrender. I still take action, but I'm not going to go and spiral and stay there. So that's a beautiful journey.
It is for sure. And another amazing thing about all of this is having the self-awareness to realize that I was here and I still do at times want to have that control or the comparisonitis or whatever it is, having the self-awareness to realize that it's still there. But then again, as you say, take aligned action to do something about it, to shift the mindset, to shift the thought patterns around that into something else completely is more beneficial to and for you.
Yeah.
What do you believe then is the real reason that so many people feel stuck, disconnected, or unfulfilled, even when they have everything there?
Oh man, there's so many. I feel like a lot of it is not wanting to take responsibility for themselves. It's
Mhm.
more about being in victim mentality, really, because I used to live that. I know what that was like. So much easier to live there, to point the finger at everybody else and to say they are making me tired and exhausted or they're taking advantage of me. But really, the real reason why you feel disconnected and stuck and unfulfilled is because you allow them to do this to you because you also have the power to set a boundary. And this, I actually see this a lot with my clients as well, where people come to me and they're like, I have all these things. And then that's when you start to go through and it's, you haven't set the boundary, right? Or you don't have this level of self love that you need to say, hey, actually, I don't deserve to be treated this way. You haven't
Mhm.
communicated, right? And I truly believe this is why. And this is what I've had to do. I used to feel this way, stuck, disconnected, unfulfilled. That was the life I did live for most of my life, right? So I
Mhm.
decided that I didn't want that no more, right? I take my power back. And so even when they, and also recognizing too, what is habit all? Because remember too,
Yeah.
society teaches us this is what you should aspire for.
Yeah.
These little things, right? These boxes. And I've done that. I have a college degree, right? I had the
Mhm.
house, I was married, had the nice cars, I had all of those things, right?
Yeah.
I quote unquote had it all. When I'm a beautiful woman, right? I know all these.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I still felt stuck and disconnected, unfulfilled. And so part of that journey is also recognizing maybe I shouldn't let someone tell me, let something outside of me tell me what's going to make me feel fulfilled
Mm.
or feel like what is success. What about you getting so fucking uncomfortable and saying, I'm going to go decide what does that look like for me, even if it's entirely different from what my parents believe, from what my society, from my religion, like I'm going to go figure that out. And you also living in that and feeling so good with that. Cause I also see that as well, where
Yeah.
people don't want to do that because they want to please somebody else. Right.
Or play the victim or whatever. That's a very hard pill to swallow, to admit that I'm here because of me. It's my fault.
Yeah.
You only have control over you. That's it. You don't have control over what other people do, what other people say, what other people think. The only thing you have control over is your own thoughts and your actions that you take. So take the action, but take radical responsibility for your shit, because no one else did it. You did it to yourself, and you're the only one that can change it.
I completely agree, but an old version of myself couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Couldn't
it's
even try.
hard
It is hard, and that's why I
because
say,
you have
like,
to look at yourself.
yeah, it's so much easier to point the finger at everybody
Of
else
course it
and
is.
that's why in this world, that's why it is smaller, because not
Mhm.
everyone is willing to come here and to look at that, to take
Yeah,
like real honest responsibility for yourself in why it is the way it is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
What does it mean to lead from the feminine, and how can more women start to reclaim that power without apology?
Ooh, it's really for me about the feminine is surrender and trust, and surrender and trust, not having control issues. There's a lot of women, and I was this woman as well, where I was very much in my masculine, taking action and going and not receiving. That's a really big one, especially as women, is the receivers. I think you got to have a healthy balance of the two, but not learning how to receive and always, I'm the one that has to go and make it. I'm the one that has to go and take the action. The hyper independence, right?
Yeah.
I'm the one. And so I feel like there are some women that are leading from that. And now when you recognize that, like, that's not the way that you're meant to do it, because it's a different energy. It's a hard, my mom was like this as well. It's very hard energy. It's very closed off. There's no, the energy of enjoyment, of love, if you will. Love is still there.
Joy. Yeah.
Yeah, the very good feelings. And so I personally believe to lead right from the feminine, from your feminine, is getting into the present moment and not trying to, because part of the masculine too is about planning and having strategies and all these things. But like coming here into the present moment. So one thing that really allows me to reclaim my feminine, right? To reclaim this power. It's like finding things, right? That allow you to be in this. So for me, it's dancing, right? Salsa dancing,
Yeah.
because that puts me in an entirely different energy where I'm so freaking present and I'm so happy. And so this is what I really encourage women to do, is like, how can you start to live in the present moment? How can you start to reclaim your power where you can be here and just in this moment and feel so good. That makes sense. Just to feel so, so good. Because that's the other thing too. That's the thing about women, is that we have this magnetic power.
Mm.
Some of us think that we have to be like the men and we have to go and we have to hustle and grind. Like, no, bitches. Let me tell you, you get to come over here and it is different. The men are not going to teach this because they think this is like BS.
Yeah.
You get to come over here and you get to also lean into your feminine and no, and like it gets to be good. You get to be this freaking magnet, something that I practice, and it's been like the blessings that come, right? There's still like action here and there, but it is really about leading from this type of energy.
Love it. What would you say then to the women listening right now, or the woman listening right now, who knows she's meant for more, but is paralyzed by fear or self doubt?
Ooh. So I know that I used to live that life myself as well. So I would say to the woman that's listening that you're like, okay, I know that I'm meant to live a life. I don't know what it looks like. I have, because we've never seen it. So just recognizing how your mind works, recognizing how your nervous system works. And when you know that your mind, your subconscious mind, when anything that is the unknown is automatic, like your mind's fuck no, because we're trying to keep you safe, honestly. Something that that's how I've been able to go outside of my comfort zone. When I truly learned this, that, oh, it's just my mind talking to me. It's just my mind trying to keep me safe. But you are more powerful than that, right? And so for me, it's about tapping into your heart space. Really, because the energy that's there in your heart is so powerful. It's so much more powerful. The way that I've been able to help myself in the way that to help me to get to where I'm at is it's knowing the impact, the people that I meant to serve, the people that I meant to help. It's kind of like putting my own needs aside, right? And still taking care of myself, but knowing that I'm meant to help others So I'm willing to go outside of my comfort zone, willing to go outside of into the fear, and I'm being paralyzed
Yeah.
and saying, I know that I'm meant to help people. I know I'm meant to impact others. So I have to go outside of my comfort zone and I have to keep trekking. I have to keep going because they're waiting for me. It's
Yeah.
not savior complex. It's just being of service, giving value and doing things to help yourself on this journey. When I'm still on my journey as well. And so a lot of different things that I've had to do to release being paralyzed by fear, self-doubt is working with my nervous system, right? Doing things to tell myself the new stories, tell my body, my nervous system the new story, or get it to feel safe, right? Doing somatic practices. And that's really what I highly recommend. Another thing is to look for expanders, look for
Okay.
other women or men, but if you're a woman, go look for another woman who has who's lived something very similar to you. Maybe a woman that had come from rags to riches kind of thing, someone that's lived that life of, I didn't know it was possible. Because the more and more you can find someone that did it, you're finding evidence that it's possible for you and starting to see that. So when you start to work with expanders, you start to tell yourself the new story. If it's possible for her, it's possible for me. And then you start to build the evidence like, okay, I can do this. I can do this.
I love that. And remembering that fear, like you said, it's our egos trying to keep us safe. False evidence appearing real. It's not real. It really isn't. It's these loops that play in our brains.
Yeah.
And it's about stopping that and getting off that train or getting out of that loop, breaking the cycle and believing in yourself, trusting in yourself. And you said surrounding yourself with expanders, other people who have been there and done it, and sit in their space, be in their energy, observe them, watch what they do, talk to them, have conversations, mentors, coaches, all of these things. So important.
Very much.
So what part of your divine feminine did you once silence that you now celebrate like a sacred flame?
Part of my divine feminine is just showing up for myself. That's a really big one. Coming from, so I haven't shared this here on the podcast, but I'm going to share it because it correlates to this question. So I grew up, my mom is from South Korea. My father he is Caucasian, retired military Air Force. So I grew up in having an identity crisis, right? Being like two different nationalities, two different races, right? And then my mother converted to Islam. My parents divorced when I was about 6, and my mom converted to Islam when I was about 9. And so a lot of things that I was taught was, and again, this is not for anyone that practices Islam. This is just my personal experience. And what I encountered was it was very much of just being hidden, right? And not a lot of celebration, if you will. And so part of my divine feminine that I celebrate now is to really just making myself happy. That's really what it is. I celebrate that so much because I saw as a child, and I also see this in Asian culture, where the givers, we're giving ourselves too much to the point of exhaustion that we don't take time for ourselves, that we don't even know ourselves because we're so much in the output of giving that there's no input, right? And so now I celebrate this so much that I prioritize myself and my self-care and what truly brings me joy. And I celebrate my dancing like a sacred flame. Let me tell you, Ragnar, I tell him, because that is, for me, that's the activity. And you have to find what's for you. For me, the activity of dancing, right? It's actually bachata dancing is my jam. If you're a Latin dancer, you know what I'm talking about. But I just say song because most people don't know what that is. Black. Everyone listening, they know. But just the act of dancing that elevates me so much, lifts my spirits, makes me feel so good.
If you could
And
sit
this is how
with
I
the
continue
greatest
to
spiritual
celebrate,
master
how
who
I
ever lived,
continue
and
to
ask
show up
them
for
one
myself, right?
question,
This
what
is
would
also
it
how
be
I get to be
and
in my
why?
divine feminine,
Right.
being as a woman, because this is also, it's a dance, right? And when you're dancing too, the man is leading you. That's another big thing of how I release my control issues, because they're telling you what to do and you're having to move and ebb and flow in that way. And that's a huge celebration because I was never like this. I never used to choose myself. It was very much, the silence was me not choosing myself. And that energy of me was very closed off, very hidden, and it was silent, if you will. There was no joy, there was no happiness in that way. And so now my divine feminine is, I'm going to choose me. I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to intentionally choose that. And I celebrate this so freaking much. And I think more women need to do this, need to choose this.
Choose them and celebrate. This is something that I think all of us as human beings could take a page from, is celebrating more, celebrating us, celebrating your wins, celebrating life.
Yeah.
Life is a gift, as we said earlier. Celebrate the fuck out of yourself.
Yeah.
You are a gift. Truly.
Yes.
I love that. Thank you, Diana.
You're welcome.
If your past self could see you now, what would she say? And what would you say back to her?
Oh man, if my old self, woo, I'm telling you, because the old self, I need to talk more about this actually online as well. But if my old self could see me now, she would be like, "What the fuck happened to you?" That's what she would say. I'm telling you.
And what would you say back to her?
I would say something like, "Damn, of course you've always been there. And keep going." That sassiness, like, "Damn, that is you. Like, keep going." No, but I'm learning also very much a lot of stuff from my childhood of being performative, right? Having to achieve and go and do all the things, but just, I'm proud of you. That's what I would say back to you.
I love that fucking answer.
I'm proud of you and I love you.
I love it. That is an amazing answer.
Thank you.
If your soul wrote your life story instead of your ego, how would chapter 1 begin?
Oh man. If my soul wrote my life story, chapter 1 would begin with love. Oh my gosh. That is, in this journey of being soul led, it's always about chapter love would be all about love. That's all it would be. And part of that love is reframing the gifts that you've gone through. Because I think that's another thing too. People have a lot of challenges and hardships. You have to find the gifts in those experiences. And how can you love even the people that hurt you in those experiences, those challenges? How can you love them? And that, I truly believe that's what's helped me to change a lot of things, to change the past, if you will, to heal the past. And so chapter 1 would begin with, wow, what an amazing experience. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of myself that I've come here and I've done this work and I've been able to hold this level of love and compassion.
That reframe, yeah, absolutely. The forgiveness piece, and it's love is everything. It's the highest vibration on the planet, and we need more people to step into that vibration, because when you step into that, it affects and ripples out to everyone else around you, and they can't help but not feel it. How could you not feel love and happy? It's an incredible feeling to feel loved and to feel love for yourself, because I think that's a very important piece to mention, is that's where it starts, is here with us. You got to start by loving yourself first. And I know you mentioned that earlier in the interview, and it is key. It's everything.
Oh yeah, it is. I feel like love is the answer for a lot of things. Imagine the world if everyone just stop taking things so personally. Read the 4 agreements, please. But imagine if you would just see that person outside of you, like showing like a level of love, loving on them. And the way that you would react would be, our world would be entirely different.
For sure it would. Absolutely. How can someone tell the difference between an intuitive no and a fear-based reaction pretending to protect them, or the ego stepping in?
I personally believe that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about, it's really about tuning into how it speaks to you. So when the voice or the nudge, however it comes in for you, and that's the part too, it's like you have to be tuning into your body. And that's the other thing, is starting to feel. I think a lot of people are so disconnected, they don't know what they're feeling. So you have to pay attention to, what does it feel like in your body?
Yeah.
And so start asking yourself questions and start to pay attention to, what does an intuitive no or a yes feel like for you in your body? Start to pay attention. What is that? And start to pay attention to, let's just say, for example, what you can to practice with the fear-based reaction is go turn on the news and start paying attention to, what is your body, what is your mind and your body doing as you're listening to it. And it's immediately going to go into fear, right? It's immediately going to go into maybe your heart racing and like the worry, and start paying attention to that. And I personally think that's how you could feel. And part of you feeling into that is learning to get quiet, normalizing the quiet. And I know, I remember my nervous system, back then, it's a journey. I'm telling you, this is all a journey. But I'm grateful that I did the uncomfortable work on it to be here. I remember like being in a writhing, what's the word? Like I was like in a fetal position, so much in anxiety that I was like on the floor, like shaking basically.
Yeah.
And because I was so disconnected and having so much fear and not wanting to set boundaries and things like that. And the more and more you practice this, the more and more you start to say no when you get a no and start saying yes when you get a yes. That's when it gets stronger and stronger. But most people are so much in the people pleasing, not setting boundaries. And that's why I feel like they go around in circles over and over.
Yeah. Beautiful. So speaking about all of this, what daily practices or rituals do you follow to maintain all of this? Because this is not a one and done thing. This is a constant work in progress. And I want to point that out to everyone, that it's not just this quick fix where, okay, if I can tune into my stillness and I just do it, I'm good. No, you have to constantly do this and constantly work on it, different practices. So what practices do you follow to maintain your spiritual health and effectiveness?
Yeah. First of all, yeah, like what you were saying, this is not Amazon Prime. This is not, okay, I'm going to go and meditate for a minute or a week or whatever. No.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really about getting quiet. I used to always have music in the background. Now it's when I'm waking up, it's quiet. There's stillness. There's quietness to sit and listen with myself, journaling. So I'm an energy healer. So I do my own energy work on myself. I still go get my own energy work done. That's also very important, I think, as practitioners, that we still go. It's one thing to always be helping others, but also you have to make sure that you're also taking care of yourself.
Yep.
My own spiritual health is also, as I continue to grow, as I continue to work on myself, there's like new layers and layers. And so part of that is also taking action on that and starting to see, okay, and done a lot of different pivots, a lot of different changes. I feel like as I continue to grow and evolve, I even feel like what I call myself has also changed, right? And getting more, it's hard to describe, but it's like tuning in. And so I've noticed on my path from when I first started to where I'm at now, there's even been like lifestyle changes, a lot of different lifestyle changes. And that's been a really big one for me. Even like the products that I'm using. So like practices of, okay, maybe not using all the chemical laden products. So I noticed that my hands with certain soaps would get very irritated. Like all of a sudden, just one day last year, I started noticing my hands started having a reaction with the soaps I was using for years and years. So I was like, okay, something is happening here, right? And so now it's me maintaining my spiritual health is, okay, maybe I need to stop using the products, right? Starting to use more natural based things, more holistic things, if you will.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, and it's just, it'll continue to grow and expand on itself as you go down the journey, right? What else? I think also rest. Another thing, a ritual is recognizing this is rest. I knew this has been like a reoccurring theme in this podcast episode.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like I'm here to normalize it, being a manifester, right? Yeah. We're here to also normalize it, that you're not meant to go. So I think also having that as like a ritual where you're not constantly in burnout. And that is part of your spiritual well-being and spiritual health.
For sure.
That you're not here to burn yourself out. You're here to take care of yourself.
Yeah. I love it. If you had to pass one spiritual law, rule, or truth down to the next generation of conscious women leaders, what would it be and why?
One rule, oh my gosh, especially I guess for me, it's really more about as women that we actually live our life. I actually want it to be a law where we as women, that we actually have to listen to our cycles. I'm going to get a little more TMI in here, but it's like a thing, right? We all have it. We all have our monthly women's cycle. And this year, actually, I've been really getting more into playing with my cycle.
Okay.
And it's layers of all that, but learning to work my business or live my life around my cycle. Because a lot of us
Yeah.
are, especially if you work an 8 to 5, 9 to 5, where you're told to constantly put your needs aside and push away what you're feeling. If you're cramping, right? If you've got like a heavy cycle, it doesn't matter. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. And so I really want this to be a law where we are taught to take care of ourselves, to really honor ourselves and our cycles, because there's a reason why we're going through these things, right? We're not designed like men. They have an entirely different cycle. We operate in a longer cycle. I think it's like a 28-day cycle. And I imagine the more and more we can tune into that, man, it's going to be, we change the world. This is how we do it because you feel
Yeah,
entirely different.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If your soul could speak directly to humanity right now without fear, filter, or any kind of limitation, what message would it scream from the mountaintops?
Oh my gosh. Stop being programmed. That's really stop like recognizing like you're being programmed and stop being programmed. That's really one thing that you are so much more powerful than you realize. And I was like, I want to go to shake people and wake up. Can we wake up? Do you recognize how powerful you are? Can you just wake up? And wow, if we all stand up in our power and we all rise together and let go of the fear, the limitations, and stop being manipulated and control and just live your life, man, humanity would look so different.
It would,
And
for sure.
yeah, one last thing I want to say is also, I really feel to add this as well of compassion for another, compassion and love, because especially now, there's so much separation and division. Politics, religion. If you're
Yeah.
not with me, I hate you. I also feel that's another big thing I would love to scream from the rooftops is let it be okay that someone is different from you.
Yeah, you and I have had many conversations about this and
Mhm.
how bad the divisiveness is right now in the world. And who gives a shit who you support? It doesn't change who you are as a person. You're
Yeah.
still the same Diana. If you support someone different than I do, or your beliefs are different than mine, who gives a fuck? You're still the same Diana that I know and love and I care about,
Yeah.
and all of the. It doesn't matter what our beliefs are. I think if we would put the bullshit aside and get curious,
Mhm.
ask questions. How did you arrive at those beliefs that you have? What led you to believe this? Or
Yeah.
why do you think this person is a good person to support? Or whatever the question is, ask the questions, be curious, get curious about why that person thinks the way they do.
Yeah.
You may be surprised. And it's not about changing someone's mind. It's about just listening, actually listening to what they're saying. You
Yeah.
don't have to fall in line with their beliefs.
Yeah.
That's okay. You have your beliefs, I have mine, and that's okay. We can still coexist in a world happy and get along. Yeah, the world would be so different. You're right. Humanity would be so incredibly different if people would just wake the fuck up
Yeah.
and realize and get rid of the hate. There's no need for it.
Yeah. I
It
agree.
doesn't get us anywhere. It does not get us anywhere. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
My unique skill set, superpower is number one is the ability to see both sides of everything. That's a really big one that I have. I can literally sit with someone else who's entirely different from me, and I can just sit there and just listen and not immediately go into rage or hate. And so I've noticed for me is not saying that I'm like being passive, but it's just the ability to see a different side of things. And I think also a lot of that came from my childhood, growing up in a different religion, seeing a lot of different cultures, right? So that really helped me. And another superpower that I have that's made me really successful is my experience with child protective services and adult protective services. I didn't realize it at the time, but I'm seeing it now being on the other side of that skill set, if you will, of going into people's homes, right, where they're terrified that you're there, that you might take their children away. I've learned so much about the nuances of de escalation, of learning to bring people's walls down. That's really what it is. I'm really good at bringing people's walls down. And so that has now made a really big superpower for me with especially with women in the work that I do. Because a lot of us, a lot of women, we have a lot of wounds or a lot of triggers. We have a lot of sisterhood wounds. So that's like a whole other topic, sisterhood wounds. And so you don't open up, you don't share things with other women because they're going to come back and hurt you, right?
Yeah.
And so now in my journey, because I've done this work myself, I've had a lot of my own sisterhood wounds as well. And as I continue to do my work, right, and bringing my walls down, now I can do it for others. And so now we speak with my clients like it is on such a deep level that they're able to be so vulnerable with me and just lay it out in a sense and just share it and then work through it. We talk about it and we figure out how we can move past it. That's what's made me amazing and successful at what I do.
Beautiful. Speaking of success, what does that word mean to you? How do you define success?
Ooh, success is me being happy within myself, not the version of success of what my parents taught me. Coming from Asian culture, success is like this whole other thing. And no, so on this journey is I've really had to define what is my own success. Success is me living the life where I have the freedom to do what I want when I want to do it, the freedom to go dancing. Of course, you hear that a lot with me dancing, but to have a lot of time for myself and my rest, to have time to take care of myself, to just truly live the life that I want and not in some box. That's my
Love it.
definition of success.
How do you define the word empowerment? What does that word mean to you?
Ooh, it's really about uplifting, right? Uplifting yourself and taking your power, really. Like empowerment to me is, yeah, I'm going to take my power. Like maybe I didn't know that there was power that I have actually had this entire time. Here you go. Here, I'm going to hand you the torch or I'm going to hand you the sword and I'm going to empower you. But the only way that you can take this power, right? If you can take the energy in the sword or this, we'll say the selenite wand, right? I'm going to give you the selenite wand. Here you go. Take this. And can you see the power within yourself? Really is what it is. So that's what empowerment is to me. And then also being the expander in that sense, empowering others, right? Showing them what's possible. Because if you come from a totally different side of things, maybe where you were living in an environment or a childhood or a society where there was no, let's say, like women's empowerment, you don't know what that is. So go get in the spaces where that is true, that is possible, right? For other people to help you define what is that.
Love it. Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3 word answer type thing. Okay.
Okay.
How would you describe yourself in one word?
Magical.
What is your favorite self-care practice?
Dancing.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
Self-love.
What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
Authentic and genuine friendships, relationships.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
My heart.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Connectedness.
What's one word that defines the woman you are becoming?
It is one word that defines what I'm becoming. Man, I have so much with that. We're going to say connection again.
Okay. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I have a bonus question that I created that I did not send you ahead of time.
Uh-oh.
If you could take one feeling or belief and bottle it up and give it to people, what would it be?
Love.
If you were to introduce yourself to me without mentioning your occupation, where you're from, your ethnicity, your nationality, your religion, your hobbies, all of the day-to-day bullshit markers that we use to describe ourselves in the day-to-day, how would you introduce yourself to me?
Ooh. So I am a disruptor of the matrix. Seriously, I know I am. I'm a disruptor of the matrix. And I literally help you to remember who the fuck you are.
Beautiful. That is a kick-ass introduction. Very powerful and very memorable for sure. I love it. If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
What did it cost you to become the best, to become this version of you?
Okay, go ahead. Answer your question.
It cost me everything. It cost me my identity of what I thought I was, right? And having to literally strip everything down to bare bones and saying, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to be something entirely different. I don't know what it looks like. I've never seen it, but I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. I'm going to become that.
I love that. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
I want to talk to Cleopatra. Like, I want to know about, there's like a mystique within her, right? She had this power and this magnetism. I want to really sit down with her and just to feel like her energy and to see what was it about her that made her so famous.
Okay. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Stop settling.
Lastly, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
That to listen to your heart and know that you are destined for more. It's in there. The desires of your heart are a reflection of your destiny. Listen to that above all else, above everyone else.
Beautifully said. Wonderful way to end the interview. Thank you so much, my beautiful friend, Diana Kim. It was such an honor and a pleasure to have you on the podcast to share in your story, your journey, and the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do. Absolute honor and pleasure. I am so grateful to know you, to call you a friend, to have you as a member of the Empowerography community. Thank you for just being authentically, beautifully you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real honor and a pleasure to be here today.
Once again, my name is Brad Welsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Diana Kim. She is an energy healer, a spiritual mentor, and a transformational guide dedicated to helping conscious souls break free from limitations and live in alignment with their highest selves. Thank you so much, Diana. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.